Hey, and what's the crack? This platinum trophy might just be the most boring and tedious one I've ever gotten. Now don't get me wrong, the story is good and some of the trophies are definitely fun, but the collectibles in this game are just absolute torture. Let me explain. There will also be some spoilers. So first off, Jedi Survivor is definitely a bigger game than the last, but thankfully Cal Kestis is still the main protagonist, and we do have a new addition to his team called Bud. And yeah, that about covers his new team. I don't think there was anyone else, but let's get into the grind. And the first trophy I tackled was Rooftop Duel, and how I acquired this trophy was by beating the big scary ballerina herself, the Ninth Sister. The next trophy that I added to my collection was called First Saw Guerrera, and I added this by escaping the planet Coruscant through the Mantis. And while on this Mantis, I found out that they got rid of all the flowers I collected from the first one. I was absolutely heartbroken. Cal decides then that he needs some help, so we land on a brand new planet called Kobu. And this planet turns out to be absolutely great because it gives us a nice warm welcome and introduces us to one of the bad guys in this game, who's just absolutely freaky looking. And while we were at it, I decided to snag myself a trophy, grab some seat, and I got this from meeting the owner of the saloon, who turns out to be a very good old friend. This isn't a horror game, but this is exactly something you would see out of a horror game. But once Grease was done freaking us out, he gives us a piece of information and we go on our way to explore. And while exploring, we find a robot that's been trapped for years called Z, and she tells us exactly what we're looking for and where to go. And while heading towards that place, I did acquire my next trophy called Mirror Match, and I acquired this trophy by using a Jedi mind trick and confusing one enemy to attack another that were of the same type. I also realized how lucky Cal is, because without BD he'd never be able to go anywhere. We finally get to where Z told us to go, and we get to discover a flashback, and not long after out of that flashback I claimed my next trophy called The Past Made Present. And I claimed this trophy by freeing and then fighting a cripple. He was also an old angry Jedi. And as easy as that, I got my next trophy called Hey Luke at Us. And this trophy is quite easy to collect. All you have to do is equip new clothes to Cal, new hair and a new beard. I wonder what it is that's inside that chest when he finds like a new hairstyle or a new beard. I wonder if it's just clumps of hair. And Cal once again realizes he's going to need even more help, so we travel to a brand new planet to find it. While out there trying to find the help, I ran into a little gang of bad guys, and then this thing comes out of absolutely nowhere and destroys them. Like, that's just a wall where he came from, there's no walkway. And then I unlocked my next trophy, Survivors We Adapt, and I've got this for finding and traveling with none other than the Ninth Sister, Mirren. And it seems that Mirren has become very overpowered and picked up some new tricks. And with Mirren's help, I actually claimed another trophy called You've Got a Friend. And this trophy involves more than one companion, where you have to get them to help you attack enemies 10 times each. And Mirren, still helping us claim trophies, gets another one called Among the Masters. And I got this from meeting two Jedi Masters, one of which was a blast from the past from the first game, Seer. And the other Jedi is one that we've heard of but never met, and is BD's best friend, Cordova. And then I got to unlock my favorite stance in this game, the Blaster stance. That had nothing to do with this next trophy called Hands Slow Wall. And this trophy of course was acquired by using the slow effect to defeat 50 enemies. I then had to go to a new planet, and this led to a new trophy called Who Gives a Puck, and it's for fighting and defeating our very first bounty hunter. It seems like everyone is getting an upgrade in this game, because even BD has finally got a few upgrades to him. But on to the next trophy that I managed to acquire, and it was called They Never Saw It Coming. And I managed to acquire this trophy by attacking 20 unaware enemies throughout the game. We then come across a character called Peely, who we managed to recruit back to the saloon, and she will also help us grow our garden that's apparently on the roof of the saloon. But after finding Peely, we go on to find our next trophy called For the Path, and I unlocked this trophy by collecting the contact codes and escaping Jedha from the dark side. The next trophy I got here kind of confused me. It was called Skywalker, and you get this for not touching the ground or walls for 60 seconds. And as you can see, I was touching a wall, so I don't know how I got it. But another way you can get it is by using one of the birds to glide for 60 seconds. But the next trophy, Out of Bedlam, did make sense for me to get, because I got this trophy for rescuing a friend and fighting the cripple once again. After escaping the cripple, I get my next trophy, Can You Pet That Bogling? Now, I'm not sure what a bogling is, but it is a very easy trophy to acquire. All you'll have to do is pet a bogling. The next trophy that I gained was called There Is No Try, and I got this for pulling a boat out of Tart to help a little droid get home, or wherever it is he was trying to go. And soon after, I claimed another trophy called Now This Isn't Pod Racing, and you get this trophy for traveling 500 meters while using a creature creature. I did this using the flying bird thing, which you could also use a Neko or that weird tall giraffe desert thing. We then get on to a new area and it's a shattered moon. And this is where I claimed my next trophy. This is cannon. And how I claimed this trophy was by using my force powers to push an enemy into the cannon. So like this, but actually get them in the cannon. We then fight the freaky looking fella from the start of the game, and he looks like something from Resident Evil at this stage. After dealing with the Resident Evil wannabe, I went on to get my next trophy called Tanalorr Bound. And I got this by collecting the Abyss Compass from none other than the crippled Jedi. Cal then decided to play a very angry game of tag, trying to catch up with Bud as he's getting away. And then, as a little surprise in the game, we get to play as Seer, and she leads us to our next trophy called Tragedy. And you gain this trophy for defending the archives and fighting Darth Vader. I then went and acquired my next trophy called At the Precipice. And how I acquired this trophy was by infiltrating a bad guy's base and then escaping with the information I needed. And with that information, I unlocked my next trophy called Into the Abyss. And this trophy was of course got by finding the way to Tanalorr. And then we get on the planet of Tanalorr and it looks pretty much the same as every other planet. You'd think for such a secret planet it'd be a bit different. And this leads to the trophy, A Place You Can Call Home. And how I got this trophy is by completing the main story of the game. We then get to meet a Scottish fish called Scuba Staife, or however you pronounce that properly. Onto the next trophy I got, it's a trap. And I got this for exploring the caves and finding a lot of goodies. And then I went and got the best trophy in this game called A Presence I Have Not Felt Since. And I got this trophy for finding none other than Cal's old poncho from the first game. And getting the poncho didn't come easy. I had to fight the son of the Okafont in the first one. I've never been judged this much by a frog before. It doesn't stop me from getting my next trophy, Get Down From There. And I got this for attacking 20 enemies while they were lifted in the air. Why is there a random lad in a random room wearing a turkey on his head? Anyways, onto the next trophy I got, and it was called Star Tours. And this was for discovering and exploring all temples in the game. After leaving the temples, I did get another trophy called Catch. And how I got this trophy was by hitting 3 enemies or more with a roller mine. How long was that fella waiting there for someone to come along and open them doors as he's waiting for a fight? And since I'm talking about fighting, this leads on to the next trophy I got called I'm a Living Legend. And I got this trophy for fighting legendary animals, and I even killed one of them in midair somehow. I then managed to acquire 2 trophies at once, and the first one was called Intergalactic Geography, and this was for scanning every enemy in the game. And the second of the trophies was called Kaja Match, and I got this trophy for getting the attention of a mysterious stranger. He's not the mysterious stranger, and the only way to get that mysterious stranger's attention was to beat every bounty hunter in the game. Unlocking the next trophy, Riptos, was quite easy. And why I say it's so easy, because all you have to do is pull an enemy closer towards you, and when they swing, block and hit. While on the way to my next trophy, I did notice a few things, and EA games never change. The next trophy I managed to acquire was called Slam Dunk, and it's for picking up 5 enemies at once and slamming them into the ground. Onto the next trophy I earned, and it was called So Uncivilized. And this trophy is pretty cool to get as well, because what you have to do is use your blaster stance and attack someone just before they hit you 10 times. The next trophy that came into my possession was called One with the Force, and you get this trophy for avoiding 50 attacks using your force powers. This next trophy I acquired, Pinpoint, was kind of similar, and I say it's similar because you have to use a different stance with your force and you block their attack and attack them immediately after. The next trophy I received was called the Jedi Path, and how I unlocked this trophy was by fully upgrading 3 Jedi skill trees. The next trophy I came by was called Reconnaissance, and how I got this trophy was by using BD1 to scan an enemy in the distance. I get trying to be creative in this game and all, but what in the Christ is this thing? But let's move on to the next trophy I acquired called Blood, Sweat and Tears, and this was for completing all the force tiers throughout the world. And these force tiers can include fighting gigantic monsters and doing some trials. Also, whoever developed this one personally, I want to ask, who hurt you? It's okay. The next trophy that I obtained was called Growth Spurt, and I got this for collecting seeds throughout the world, which then you go back to the top of the saloon and plant them, and this trophy will pop as soon as you have a fully grown garden. While out trying to find the worst collectible in this game, I managed to make some new friends, and I wanted to see if they could fly. They could not. They could not. The next trophy that I managed to acquire was called Cleaning Up, and as you've seen, I got this trophy for refreshing the refresher. I flushed the jacks. While out getting these collectibles, it was a pain in the ass, but what made it worse is this game kept crashing. The next trophy that I unlocked was called Greasy Money, and I got it for trading 25 collectibles in this game. If you trade enough of this stuff, you can create a great look for Cal, which leads on to the next trophy that I managed to unlock called Splurge, and I found it unfair to give Cal an upgrade, but not BD, which actually led to another trophy called Kitted Out, and I got it for, of course, giving giving BD a new look, changing the look of my blaster, and of course making my lightsaber look cooler. And now for one of the funniest trophies in this game, Roadhouse. And I got this for first changing my stance, and then you use that stance to run up and kick someone in the face while having a mullet. This is a hell of a look for Cal, but there was a point to me putting this on him, and it was for my next trophy called Cobra Kai. So while wearing a headband, go up and attack the dummy and you'll get this trophy. The next trophy that I obtained was called Scuba Diving, and I got this trophy for traveling through all the worlds, collecting all the fish I could and putting them in my aquarium. I personally didn't go in looking for the fish, Scuba Steve did. The next trophy I managed to take possession of was called Max Capacity, and I got this trophy for filling up the saloon with all the people throughout the galaxy. The next trophy I gained was King of the World, which I obtained by reaching the highest point in Harvest Ridge, which is just an area near the saloon. And then I got what was probably the darkest trophy in this game, They're Probably Fine. This trophy is just mean, because what you have to do to obtain this trophy is, while riding an Echo, run it off the edge of a cliff while also saving yourself. But let's go on to a less depressing trophy I got called Perk of the Job. And how you get this trophy is by unlocking new perk slots until you have all 10 and then filling up all 10. And then for one of the most interesting trophies I got called Gambler, and you get this for beating all your opponents in like a mini game battle sort of thing. And then I finally unlocked the Platinum trophy, and it couldn't have came fast enough. And the rating I give this game is 3 out of 10. It's not difficult at all, just because of all the collectibles you have to get. There's absolutely no pleasure in collecting them, it's just a pain. And this is the end of the video, guys. I hope everybody enjoyed. If you did, maybe leave a like, but thank you so much for watching. I hope to see you in the next one, and goodbye.